Yo, what is going on, Steeler Nation? Welcome to episode 432 of the Steel Factory podcast. My name is Rio, and I'm joined by my co-host Junior today.
What's up? What's up?
All right, so season's over. Everybody go home. I thought I was being pretty optimistic going into the wild card game. Honestly, you weren't really. But yeah, Steelers dropped 28-14 to the Ravens in wild card weekend, as annual tradition goes. Steelers are out after the first round. How did you feel watching this shit?
I think what's kind of funny about it is like you were like optimistic, and I was pretty like, no, we're definitely gonna lose. But I feel like I came out feeling a lot worse than you came out feeling.
Honestly, that's a good way to put it. I don't know if it's just because I don't know. Maybe because I'm hearing a lot more people turning their backs on Tomlin, and obviously you've been a lot more bullish on Tomlin than I have, at least these last probably 3-4 years. I think after probably when Ben retired is when I was like, okay, if we cut ties with him, so be it. Now it's kind of like, do I want him fired? Yes and no. I mean, again, it's probably the same feeling. Like if we let him go, I won't feel anything. I'd kind of be like, all right, cool. Let's finally, see what the future holds the next era of the Steelers football. And I thought honestly that would have been a good time to have it when Colbert left, Ben left, right? But no, same results, different quarterbacks, different OCs. Both our touchdowns came when we were down by 21 points. And yeah, I mean, we could start just, I guess, the flow of the game from the first drive, right? We took the ball after winning the toss. Red flag right there.
Yeah. We look whenever we do that, it's because we're scared. Like it's so obvious.
And then yeah, when you take the ball first, you assume you have a better game plan, right? I think we punted after one first down. At least we got a first down, right? And then the Ravens with 95 yards on our ass, so you can't even use the excuse of the offense can't stay on the field and they're making the defense tired, because the defense is giving up a long drive to start the game, right? Which honestly, I hate that excuse so much. Like, oh, the offense can't stay on the field, so the defense is tired. Well, they're giving up opening possession touchdowns. They did it against the Bengals. They did it this week.
Yeah. No, it doesn't make any sense. Our offense in the first quarter has been terrible all year.
Yeah.
All year. So and that doesn't help like our game plan at all, right? Like we're not built to be playing from behind. So the fact that like, oh, we're consistently playing from behind after the first quarter, it's bad. It's just bad. Like that's we need to fix that, or we've needed to fix that all year, and we didn't. And I think that's part of the problem for me. I've been like a pretty big Tomlin, truther for a while. I think like a lot of the issues are outside of him, and he's like a fantastic floor raiser. I've thought like he's like a really great coach and stuff. And like it's really just that this team doesn't have any talent. And you can look at like the last 5 years of Colbert drafting to look at why we don't really have any talent. And that was kind of like in my head, like the excuses that I really had for him. But even still, like the last month, so we've been having a lot of really, really bad, like just personnel decisions, coaching, like really bad coaching, terrible execution, right? Like I want to say, I think after the Eagles loss, I was saying like, yeah, like this was expected. The Eagles are in a different class. It's totally fine.
We lose in Philly all the time, whatever, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're a different class of team. We were outclassed. That's totally fine. Obviously we don't have the horses to run with them.
We were hurt that game too.
And we had another stretch of like, okay, we lost to the Chiefs, kind of same thing. Lost to the Ravens, like, all right, the Ravens are super hot right now. Lost to the Bengals, same thing. Bengals are super hot right now. But like in this last Ravens game, even though the Ravens are playing fantastic, they're super hot, they're peaking at the right time. Their offense is really, really hitting its stride, and Todd Monken is in his bag. Like we look so poorly coached. Like we look so poorly coached. We look so poorly disciplined. Like on on both sides of the ball. The defense is poorly coached. We have three guys chasing after Henry or chasing after Lamar, and Henry runs right up the middle, for a basically free breakaway touchdown. Right. On offense, we have offensive line. Like we have guys pulling in opposite directions. It doesn't make any sense. Like what we're
Yeah,
doing.
both your
Like
tackles pulling. Yep.
like people are confused. Yeah, like we have people not performing and doing just simple things, right? Like I think it was on our first drive to Fryermuth. Like we should have had a easy first down, like you just look at like the split second before he catches the ball, and then see, and you like think like, how did we not get a first down right there?
Yeah,
And then
no,
we don't even go
Fryermuth
for
has
it
to
when
make that fucking play.
yeah, it's ridiculous. So it's just a lot of instances of like we look poorly coached. We look not just like we not just outclassed. It's just poorly coached. That's really making me reconsider. Like, is this
Yeah.
the answer long term? Especially when I think like he's stubborn like about making changes. Or I don't know if it's Tomlin being stubborn or the Roonies are one of the most poor, quote
Well,
unquote poor by NFL owner standards.
yeah, I mean, if the head coach is gonna get fired, it's coming from the ownership too. You said it right. Like Tomlin is a good floor raiser, right? He just has not. I mean, I don't know how much of this goes on him, the general manager. He has not been able to get the pieces around him to raise the ceiling, right? Floor is great. 9, 10 wins, right? You have shitty quarterbacks, shitty offensive schemes. You get every team gets injured, right? We've had terrible injuries. You go back to Shazier, you go back to Le'Veon Bell tearing his MCL or whatever, getting injured right before the playoffs. Pretty sure AB missed that one Broncos playoff game against Peyton Manning too. And then of course the 1 year Ben tore his elbow, whatever the fuck. Teams get injuries, but dude, just the fact that so many teams, so many coaches have won a playoff game more recently than Mike T is actually it's sad, we always say the standard is a standard. And it's good to see national media finally turning their head on Tomlin, right? Maybe you gotta start looking at the big picture. You can't just look at the OC, you can't look at the DC, you can't look at the O-line coach at this point, Khan has been okay. The verdict is still out. I'd say probably for one more year, because you start to see his first draft class, be in their third season after next year, right? Guys like Broderick, Joey Porter, who else? Keanu Benton. But yeah, I mean, we're obviously gonna run it back with the same group. And we'll get into that, but let's just keep going with the flow of the game. Obviously, Ravens had like a huge drive to start, and then and then there was I think that second drive where they scored a second touchdown. They ran it every play. They ran it 14 times on a 14-play drive. They ran it up and down our throat. TJ Watt was invisible. I don't know. I think he's probably past his prime, honestly. We kind of talked about it. I was looking at our clips throughout the season, reflecting last night, I think probably by midway through the season, probably after that Browns game on Thursday night, TJ disappeared. And it's just like, maybe, because it was funny, he still was leading in Defensive Player of the Year odds. And I don't think that's the case anymore. And he was kind of statistically having his worst season as a pro. He might be past his peak too at this point, maybe. I know Minka is probably for sure. He looks like he's on his way out of the Steelers, not just as, fucking as a player. Cam Hayward's still probably the best player on the defense now, which is crazy to see. And then the offense you just got to blow it up too, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's not a lot to blow up on the offense. Like Najee's gonna be gone. That's a huge amount of snaps that are gonna be, spread out.
Reallocated.
Yeah, that's a huge amount of snaps gonna be spread out. People can say, "Oh, Najee has 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons," which he's like one of the only players to do. But at the same time, like, dude, this guy gets like 20 carries a game.
We added another game to the season. He gets 20 carries a game.
You only need to average 60 yards per game to do this. Like, I think
as long as you're healthy, you're getting that.
Yeah, I think they talked about it like on Monday Night Football or maybe for like our Saturday game.
It was when we played the Bengals, I think.
We
Yeah.
had Troy Aikman and he's like, yeah, that doesn't impress me at all. Like it's not because it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not like people point that out and it's like, no, dude, like you don't know. Like it's
We had two guys in the league almost get 2,000 yards this season. Saquon and almost Henry. Henry was less than 100 yards out. Who the fuck cares if you get 1,000 yards 4 straight years? There's guys getting 2K.
yeah,
So,
like
yeah.
he's half of the elites, you know, like half of the elites with just as much volume. Like that's not impressive.
Yeah. Um, But yeah, I mean, obviously, this is a rant session. You know, we're wrapping up the season. We're gonna get into stuff we want to do this off season in the next episode. But yeah, I mean, it was just embarrassing. We were down 21-0. I left the bar at halftime. If I was home to start the game, I probably would have turned it off. I came home to watch the rest of it, just to kind of enjoy the last half of Steelers football. I mean, we put up 2 touchdowns. Again, why is Van Jefferson our number 2 receiver? He scored a touchdown. Pickens, that was a great play. I'll give him that. We were down 3 touchdowns though. You just, you had to do that 2 more times to make it a game though. And then I guess where are we with Russ? I mean, I like the point I made right before we started recording. Obviously, Russ came in for the Jets game. I think that was week 7. Um, and then it looked good for 5 games, and then after that, it was just terrible. He takes his sacks. We saw in Hard Knocks, the Ravens literally say there's no mid-range game. It's all layups and fucking 3-pointers for him. He just moonballs or he just dumps to the running back, whatever. Yeah, middle of the field still inexistent with a guy like Russ. Mid-range is not there too either. And yeah, I mean, the point was, I think if Russ would have started this season, Fields would have taken over by midway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so too. The Russell Wilson offense is incredibly limited. You know, like they know, like look, teams figured it out. The Eagles put out a good blueprint, and the Bengals, you know, a team with like a bottom 3 defense was able to
Yeah,
stop us.
yeah,
So like, okay, I'm cool with the Chiefs stopping us. I'm cool with the Eagles stopping us. I'm cool with the Ravens stopping us. The Ravens became a top 3 defense ever since they put Kyle Hamilton at like the Minka spot position to kind of stop plays. You know, just being able to go over the top and stuff and get big gains.
yeah,
Ever since they did that, they became like an elite defense. But the Bengals, who have had no answers all year, all of a sudden we can't run the ball at all. We can't do anything. It's ridiculous. So for me, that just shows like, okay, the teams have figured out Russ, bro. Like, I think I think you're right. Like, if Russ started the season, we would have been
we would have benched
at
him, and
week 10.
Fields would have taken over by week 10.
Yeah, exactly. But
And
I think yeah, we would have
who
benched Russ.
knows? Who knows if we're sitting at, 5-5 and off 4 straight losses, or if we're at 4-6. It doesn't matter. I think there would have been a change. And like you said too, after I said that earlier, we weren't gonna do that going into the last 2 weeks of the season. We weren't gonna do that going into the playoffs game. Um, yeah, I mean, it's. I don't know if I want to go as far as to say as I think Fields would have been better overall, but I mean, would it have been more exciting? Probably.
I
Yeah.
think you know what? I don't know if Fields wins some of the games that Russ wins, but I think Fields wins some of the games that Russ loses. Like I think against the Bengals, we would have been able to do something, especially with the defensive performance we put up, holding them to like 20 points. I don't know if we would have beat the Bengals earlier when they put up 35 on our
And the
defense.
defense, oh yeah, yeah.
So it's weird. Like I think Russ had a higher peak this season, but I think as soon as they figured him out, it was kind of over, and we need to kind of move on from him. I think we just need to move on from him, or else a lot of if we sign Russ again to next season, if we bring him back, a lot of next season is going to look like this last month. Our
Definitely.
offense is just going to be bottom 10 in the league and everything.
It is. It's gonna be just as bad as it was the last month. I mean, sure, you have probably a couple of cupcakes going on. We have some. Every season you have some bad teams you're gonna play against, right? And who's to say that when Russ was looking good, it was probably against those teams, right? He had the Jets and Giants to start the season, or his season. But yeah, I mean, he did have good points though. The Washington game was awesome. The Bengals game was awesome. That first Ravens game though, we didn't score a fucking touchdown. Um, that was all field goals again. Honestly, it looked like nothing was going on that game, and yeah, I mean, it showed that the Ravens honestly were onto us that game because then yeah, the second game we had no answers for Lamar again, and then obviously they won the game in the first half on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, long term, nothing's really gonna happen. I mean, I don't, and it's already been kind of out there that we're not firing Tomlin. I didn't think we would. I, I'd like to see us, make some changes though around the coaching staff. Obviously, start with the bottom. The O line coach has to go. It's looked terrible.
100%.
Um, Secondary guys are like putting their arms up after every touchdown. It looks like. Um, and then yeah, dude, like Joey Porter is good and all. We need someone else opposite of him. Cam Sutton needs to go too. Um,
I
and
think
that yeah,
I was gonna say, I think I saw like a tweet Dante Jackson the last like month or so, maybe a little longer than that. He's let like he's let quarterbacks have like a perfect pass rating against
yeah,
him.
yeah. He was
It's
good to
ridiculous.
start. He might have gotten hurt. I know he's not a young guy anymore. He looked good at the start of the season, but yeah, I mean, obviously his body probably wore down on him in November, December. Um, yeah, he had to start covering guys like AJ Brown. He did get hurt actually. What game did he miss? The Ravens game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, once he had to start covering fucking Jamar, AJ Brown, fucking yeah, dude, it was fucking over
Yeah,
for him.
it's weird. I remember that was another kind of like nail in the coffin. Not even nail in the coffin. Like I'm not burying Tomlin. It's but like in the sense that like okay, I'm starting to see some of the cracks show up. Oh, okay, we're gonna put JPJ on their wide receiver 2 and let him do his thing, right? And then we're gonna double up their wide receiver 1 with Dante Jackson and like Minka over the top or Deshaun Elliott, whoever, right? Uh, but then we're not giving them the double team, so now we have Dante Jackson on their number 1 guy, and it's
Yeah,
and like that happened pretty consistently against the Bengals, and I think that's how Jamar Chase got his first touchdown.
yeah, yeah. The one touchdown, yeah. Jamar was able to get an easy touchdown, and then yeah, it was literally the exact same when Lamar found Rashad Bateman in the end zone for that first touchdown. Dude, all he did was just run around the field, run around the middle, and fucking Dante couldn't hold up at all. I don't
I
know.
don't know
It
why.
looks so
I don't
easy.
know. I don't know why we didn't have JPJ just on Bateman all game.
Yeah,
Like they didn't
yeah,
have Zay Flowers, bro. They don't like the wide receivers. I don't even know who their wide receivers 3 and 4 are right now. Like off the top of my head, we just played them. I have no idea who they are. You could have put
yeah.
Dante Jackson on them, and you could have had JPJ just lock up Bateman, their best wide receiver, and their only like good separator for man. You
Right.
know, like it's crazy. Like so many things that like you're kind of theory crafting, and you hear a lot of people talk about, on Twitter and on podcasts and whatever. And then you go into the game, and it's like, wait a minute, like you're not implementing any of the things that I thought you would be, and the stuff that you are doing isn't even good. So, like, what are we doing here?
Dude, yeah, I mean, once you start really looking into it, it gets really irritating, blood boiling. I've really tried my best to kind of not read that deep into it. You know, because obviously the tape shows up on Twitter. I've just not bothered. Obviously, you guys are sending stuff, and then yeah, it's hard to avoid it on Twitter if you're just scrolling. Yeah, just seeing shit like Benny Bishop getting one snap on defense. Um,
Meanwhile, Cam Sutton gets cooked like all game.
yep. And then yeah, you see the clip of both tackles pulling. You're just like, what the fuck? You're seeing clips of who was it?
Of
It was Minka. Honestly, not giving his best effort to whoever, probably their fourth string receiver, fighting for a first down. And I'm pretty sure it was Dante Jackson that was kind of just looking right there beyond the sticks, not
I
even
saw
putting his head into it. Like, come on,
I
dude.
saw I saw a clip of Patrick Queen. It was like a run. It's like a Henry like he was running to the outside, right? And
Yeah,
Patrick Queen, the guy who should be stopping that, um, he was like the third slowest guy. The only two guys slower than him were the two like tackles on the opposite side of the field.
yeah.
He was the slowest guy on the field on that play, and it's like where like I get that you were sick and oh you had 4 IV bags, but like dude, that's come on, man. like you're on the field, you need to be delivering, right? Just like, oh, where's TJ Watt been the last month? He hasn't recorded a statistic in like 120 snaps or something like that, right?
No, that's another bad one, dude. Yeah, he had the what was it, the ankle against the Ravens game, but dude, before that, he disappeared against the first Browns game.
He's not done anything. And I love Watt. Like he's been a fantastic player for us, and I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt 100%, like 100%. Like, you know what? He's probably hurt. He probably, is not as explosive as he can be. That ankle's probably bothering. I know he had that elbow brace on too.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so like again, it's it's tough to say, but like he's been invisible.
I mean,
Um,
one thing I'm keeping an eye on next season is if maybe, yeah, maybe he's on the decline now. He's gonna be on the other side of 30. It's a sad thing to see, but yeah, he's probably past his prime. Maybe we'll see next season. That's probably one of the first things I'm gonna look at week one. Hopefully, I'm proven wrong, but I might be convinced that could be a possibility and something that we're gonna have to deal with probably.
we need to hook him up with LeBron's guys in Germany or something, man.
But yeah,
That's
I
what we
mean,
need.
you've seen guys like Highsmith and Herbig come along this season too, so I'm not too worried about that. I love that trio so much. Hopefully, they have another good year in them next year. But yeah, I mean, I feel like all our
No,
sacks have came up the middle from Cam Hayward though the last month.
Cam Hayward's been our best player on defense,
Yeah,
100%. Like, it's tough. Like I think, like you were saying, I think Minka was given a lot of smoke that
yeah,
he's leaving. Which at the end of the day, like I'm fine with. I think, you could say like, well, Minka's been playing fine. He's been playing in like, we've been playing the most single high in the league,
yeah.
with Minka up there, just like making sure nothing, there's like no big plays or anything. Um, but still, like, uh, he can't like he's not doing anything. It feels like he's not doing anything. Like I can't think of one big play Minka had this year.
No, it's. I mean, he had the one pick, and we thought we could get back into the game against the second time we played the Ravens. But obviously Russ threw the pick six right back to them. That was his first turnover since the 2022 season, I believe.
Yeah, and it sucks too because I remember we signed Deshaun Elliott and we definitely thought like, oh, Minka's gonna be unlocked, bro. Like, but it turned out to be we are doing like completely the opposite of what
Yeah,
we
yeah.
expected.
I'm ready for Deshaun Elliott to kind of just be our main safety, and then we'll see who else we get next year if Minka really does go. Again, we'll dive into stuff like that as off season progresses. I'm pretty sure we'll start to see, you know, what we do with our practice squad guys, bullshit like that this week. But yeah, I mean, pretty sure free agency is like in March, but before then we could probably see who we're re-signing. Guys like Pickens are eligible and they're up for a contract. Obviously Najee's on the table too. But yeah, I think beforehand though, we're gonna go down our list of unrestricted free agents, talk about who's in,
Yeah,
who's out. Kind of look at the spot track, stuff like that. It's that part of the offseason, obviously. Other teams are gonna be watching the playoffs still. Meanwhile, we're gonna be locked in, looking at draft profiles, looking at free agents, stuff like that. Addressing the
uh,
rumors, Aaron Rodgers, what is he plus 300 to be on the Steelers next year?
we're 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 like the favorites for every player. I don't. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm Mike McCarthy just got fired. We should reunite them here in Pittsburgh.
McCarthy as an OC
One
would be crazy though.
exactly. I think McCarthy has an OC with Aaron Rodgers and like
Fuck Aaron Rodgers, bro. He's
Tomlin.
40, dude. Bring
What I
back
mean, who
Ben,
else?
meanwhile.
Uh, Rodgers put up a decent season. As far as like how much of that was just BS, like it's whatever. I'd rather. Part of me would rather see Rodgers than Russ. Obviously, like I'd rather see Fields over both of them. But I think, or we're gonna be super conservative again. We're probably just gonna re-sign Russ, and it's gonna be a miserable 2025 season.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's an easier prediction. My prediction is hopefully they just roll with Fields. I feel like that'll be the most ideal. I don't know if you're turning into a contender or you're turning into a tank machine, honestly, but I think Russ's time as a starter is gone. This was his last time. That was his shot to prove it, and he lost the last 5 games of the season.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
Russ played himself out of a contract in my eyes. I know everyone was assuming that. after, the Bengals game, maybe you do give him the 30-40 million. Now, if he wants to come back, it better be for less than 10, dude.
It reminds me of that one tweet, or like that one meme. It's like, I remember hearing all off season after we signed Russ that, like, bro, he was totally fucking cooked in Denver, and there's a reason Sean Payton hated him. And you know what? Like they were right. The haters were right. Great call by the haters.
It turns out the haters were right. But yeah, guys. Thank you guys so much for rolling with us this season. Obviously, we're gonna continue with. I guess this is season 4. We're on 432, 400 and beyond. We'll keep going on until training camp in August. That's usually how we roll with it. But until then, 433. We'll start talking about free agents, stuff like that. And yeah, hopefully you guys still tune in this off season. Hopefully we get a lot more content out than we did last off season. It was kind of a weird off season, with moving and all that. But yeah, guys, it was a pleasure. Still looking for that first playoff win on this podcast.
Soon. 2027, fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, all right. That's enough. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. You're rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And yeah, this has been us, the Still Fighter Podcast. Peace out. Here we go, Steelers.